Trump's nominee for head of the CDC had some real WTF in her confirmation hearings. Moji and I will look at the good and the eyebrow-raising history of Rear Admiral Ericka Schwartz.
But there are some things to celebrate this week. Mayday Health, an amazing abortion resource and info hub, just won a lawsuit against the state of South Dakota. And the Tate brothers were whisked off to jail in their going out tops. And we have some thoughts.
We do indeed. Plus, we have amazing guests. The hilarious comedian and digital creator HEB MURPHY, aka HEB on the web, is here to call out performers doing whiteface. What? Yes.
What? And sex educator and author of the new book, Nasty Work, Ericka Hart is here to kiki about consent, sexuality, and getting her gay ass kicked out of the Peace Corps.
So much stuff to get into this episode on the Feminist Buzzkills podcast, the show that thinks Jimothy is giving more sexual energy than Andrew Tate.
Oh, hell yeah.
100% I would fuck Jimothy over Andrew Tate. Is that wrong? Is that against the law?
I don't know. It sounds illegal, but it feels right in my heart.
Yeah, I feel like also maybe Jimothy's not old enough and also doesn't know how to give consent. So I take it all back, but like, hail Jimothy. I'm Liz Winstead, by the way, not an animal abuser. And this is my co-host, Moji Alamodale. Say hi, Moji.
Hi, and we are starting with some breaking news. On July 23rd, the Texas 15th Court of Appeals officially reversed a temporary injunction that had previously closed 3 maternal health clinics managed by Houston area midwife Maria Rojas.
Now, you'll remember we talked about this story on the pod. And shocking of all shockers, the appeals court ruled that fuckwad Ken Paxton lacked sufficient admissible evidence to justify the closure. They noted that literally the state's lawsuit relied entirely on an anonymous email rather than verified proof that Rojas violated the state's abortion bans in her work.
So basically, they used an anonymous email to ruin a woman's business.
And close these down. People were relying on her clinics.
She had 3 clinics. So this victory allows her clinics to open, but the battle still continues. It's not over for her. The clinics have been closed for a year, though. I wonder if they'll be able to reopen. That's a part that I'm not clear on. I'm really sad about.
Well, my hope is that they can reopen. And, again, these lower courts, we've said it before, and I'm sure we'll say it again on this podcast, the lower courts have really been championing us in a way. I don't know much about the Texas 15th Court of Appeals, but I'm sure excited for Maria, and the fact that they even got this far to shut her down with a fucking anonymous email rather than fucking facts should have everyone outraged. So congratulations, Maria. That is great news. We'll actually be following this story because it's super important.
It really is.
I really hope that Maria is able to reopen these clinics and serve her community.
Yeah, that's incredible news and a wonderful way to start this. Also, you're celebrating a big anniversary this week. It's the 30th anniversary of The Daily Show.
Yikes, it really is. It's just kind of a stunner, quite frankly. It has been a trip down memory lane that has been super weird. I forgot that it was the 30th anniversary of The Daily Show. And then I got a text message from the guy who used to be the head of Comedy Central, who's like, I wrote about the 30th anniversary on Substack. For those that don't know, I left The Daily Show because the first host was a sexist pig and the network wouldn't reprimand him properly. So
being a sexist pig.
Yeah, I left the show and I was like, I didn't talk about it for a long time because I wanted to work. I didn't want people to think that I was like some whiny person, but like there was just so much shit and he talked about it in his Substack. So now I feel like I get to talk about it. It feels really good to have, he actually said in the Substack, like, I didn't stand by Liz and I should have fired him. And it was a big regret in my career. And I was like, good.
Yeah.
But also the fact that I made a thing that's lasted 30 years. I didn't have kids, but I have a thing that's been on TV for 30 years. So I feel like that's
most people's kids don't do that much. Most people's kids are not so impactful as The Daily Show, Liz. Let's be honest.
It's true. You know what? Here's the deal. It was kind of a post-birth abortion. It lived on after I aborted it. So I feel like maybe the anti-abortion people are onto something. But no, it's really cool to watch, have your instincts pay off, and to watch a show, be able to change and morph and have different personalities, be able to thrive behind the desk because the foundation that you made was so solid. So that's always what you can hope for, right? Like, hey, I have this idea. I think it's solid as a lasting thing that people can like lob all their shit onto it and continue to make it great in all of its evolution. So happy anniversary to The Daily Show.
Happy anniversary. And also, just to go back to the kids analogy, I want to remind anyone who is watching it at the end of every single episode, it says created by the one and only Liz Winstead. Like, that's more credit than most parents get.
And that's true. And Madeline Smithberg. I did not do it by myself. Madeline and I did it together. And it was a labor of love for sure that paid off and lives on.
That paid off. So impressive.
Yay, go team, go Daily Show. And now I get to do this. You know, it's like kind of nice that you do a thing and then eventually you get to do other things you love. And I feel like FBK and Abortion Access Front is just an offshoot of that as well. So
just more creating.
More creating. But, you know, it's also too, it's like I've said before, part of the reasons I started this was because when you work in corporate media, they don't want you to do a bunch of stuff that might make advertisers uncomfortable. And my love of reproductive health rights and justice and bodily autonomy was one of those topics that everyone was like, but are men going to care about it? How are advertisers going to feel? And I was like, if I have to give a fuck about this, I think I need to make sure that my next iterations of life happen in an independent way that can make that happen. And so now we get to do whatever we want. And we're going to talk about one of the really cool things that we have been doing at Abortion Access Front that you're not going to see on any form of corporate media.
No, but you may hear about in 30 years still because it is that valuable and important. And of course, we're alluding to what we've been doing this last month at AAF to fight these major attacks that have been launched on abortion pills, especially when we talk about abortion pills, mifepristone, but all of them. Mifepristone is just one of the drugs that can be used in a medication abortion. And there's a case weaving through the courts right now called Louisiana v. FDA, which is doing its darndest to impose a national ban on sending abortion pills through the mail, which has been a lifeline for people.
100%. So, on top of all of that, the current head of the FDA has announced that he is going to create the most pro-life FDA in history. And he promised a whole bunch of anti-abortion zealots that he is going to conduct a study to examine the safety and efficacy of these medications, as though for the past 26 years there hasn't been hundreds of studies.
Hundreds.
But, you know, I have no doubt he's going to try to concoct one that has leading questions and bullshit data that's going to try to, you know, appease these people so that they can take medication abortion off the market. And I feel that like that's really scary. So we wanted to combat that in a way that no matter what they throw out into the public, we're going to be able to counter it with truth.
And so with several of our amazing partners and of course AAF, we are working together to just combat these false narratives with this campaign we have that I love called Miffy Stories Project. And the Miffy Stories Project is what we're doing to collect thousands of stories of real life experiences from people who've used mifepristone and misoprostol for abortion care, for miscarriage management, or any other reason they needed to use this life-saving medication.
So here's what we're asking of the Miffy Stories Project. Miffy is short for mifepristone, which is one of the pills Moji was just talking about in medication abortion. And we're asking anyone, anywhere who feels comfortable and who has used these drugs over the past 26 years to share their experiences. Our goal is to deliver to the FDA actual stories from people who've used these medications to show the FDA human experiences that can counter data that may be skewed information. So we want to make it easy. We also want to make it private. So you can submit your story at miffystories.com. You can do it anonymously, and you can do it without having your data collected, without having your IP address collected. And wow, since we've launched this, so many stories have come in, hundreds of stories, and they're so beautiful. And so if you've been listening to the pod, you know that each week while this campaign is happening, we're reading one of the stories that we feel like has really touched us in some way. So this week we're featuring someone named Meg. Moji, do you want to start off Meg's story?
I would love to. Hi, I'm Meg, and I had a medication abortion in Colorado in 2017, 2018, and 2021. I found out I was pregnant when I took a test with my husband, and my first thought was being so thrilled to be adding to our family. I decided to have a medication abortion because my babies had all stopped growing between 6 and 10 weeks. What started as a normal pregnancy ended with a doctor's appointment to discuss options on removal. Devastating, but it is mine and every other individual woman's choice to decide how to remove a fetus from their body when, if they or their medical team deem it necessary. Politics don't belong in reproductive health care.
I received my abortion pills through a clinic. From start to finish, the process was quick, easy to understand, and while my heart was broken by our loss, I felt empowered by getting to make decisions about my body and my future pregnancies. I took the pills at home, and I felt sad but relieved to be moving forward. What surprised me the most was how quick it worked and how crazy it is that my medically necessary medication is deemed an abortion.
Because I had access to medication abortion, I was able to ensure my body was all right after pregnancy loss and start the healing process. I felt in control of my own body and life. I'm sharing my story because other women deserve to have access to this medication when they need or want it. Medication abortion is necessary and saves the lives of mothers.
You know, this is such an important story for a bunch of reasons. And one is there are many, many stories of people who just simply can't continue pregnancies. And so, they don't develop and you have to empty the contents of your uterus or you'll get sepsis, right?
And also, I think another part of the story that is really important is that her being perplexed that a miscarriage is an abortion, which it is medically known as a spontaneous abortion. And, that's part of the stigma, I think, makes that a little complicated for people to wrap their head around. But also medically, let's just understand that abortion is just ending a pregnancy, whatever the circumstances are around it.
That's exactly right. And I think that that's where the anti-abortion movement is trying to parse things out. And you just can't. If you need to not have a pregnancy in your uterus anymore, you have to be able to say it, name it, spontaneous abortion, miscarriage, abortion, and be able to do that with dignity and without any stigma around it. So, yeah.
Yeah. So everyone just head over to miffystories.com, read other stories that have come in so far. And if you have one, please submit your story. The form is really, really simple. We made it super easy for people. There are prompts to guide your storytelling. And to tell your story, it doesn't require your email. We are not interested in collecting your data. We are very interested in protecting your privacy, and we'll do that.
That's right. Just remember, being able to tell your story is a super brave and meaningful way that you could help other people who are looking for some advice or some stories if they are thinking about taking medication abortion. And it also helps protect access to these pills because your story is the truth and can combat the lies in the narrative. So, having said that, it's really important. This project is really important to us. We want to get as many stories and be able to deliver these stories to these people in grand fashion. So, in order to do that, it's time for the Tony Soprano shakedown of your money. We're going to come to your house.
Yes, we are.
And we're going to break in and we're going to beat you up and put you in the trunk of the... No, we're not. What am I saying?
That we're not?
No, we're not doing that at all.
Oh, I have to take that out my calendar. Okay. No, I guess we're not going to do that. Okay, we're not going to do that.
You're perfectly safe. Simply, we want you to join our Patreon. It is not a Tony Soprano shakedown. It is not. Patreon to support us is incredible. You get birthday shout outs. We don't have any July birthdays. So if you have a July birthday, we could have been shouting you out, singing to you, doing something amazing, but we don't. So make that be your mission, July birthdays. Maybe this message is particularly for you.
Mm-hmm. And also, it's not too late for August birthdays. So get on it. Get ahead of it, August birthdays. There's still time.
100%. If you sign up, you'll get not only the birthday blah, 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 but you'll also support great content. You'll get cool FBK merchant experiences, and all your pledges not only support our FBK pod, but it helps all of our work at Abortion Access Front. So it's super easy. Just pledge at patreon.com/feministbuzzkills.
And lastly, a little more activism you can jump on this week because we have many opportunities to get active. And one of our very favorites is our mutual aid program called Adopt a Clinic. And Adopt a Clinic is great. It's a wonderful way for the public to support independent clinics, abortion funds, clinic escort groups, and patients directly by ordering much needed items from their wish lists.
And this week we're showcasing the Triangle Abortion Access Coalition, a collective of pro-choice clinic escorts and advocates in the Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina area. Their volunteers are hot in this heat and really need some cooling down with items from their wish list. Stuff like neck fans, cooling towels, and freezable neck rings. Link to all of that is in the show notes. There is a lot we want to talk about, so let's get to some headlines in our steaming dump of this week's abortion news. Moji, it's your fave.
Oh my gosh, yeah, my fave, the biggest dump of all. Andrew Tate was hauled away by the cops in a super bizarre wine mom outfit and hopefully will be shipped off to England to live in Azkaban for the rest of his days. One can only hope.
One can only hope.
He and his brother Tristan, the less interesting but equally rapey brother, have 38 charges against them, including allegations of rape and sex trafficking. And when extradited to England, that number climbs to 59. That's a lot of rape, Liz.
It's a lot of rape. And you know, it's just such a loss for the community, Moji, right? I mean, what does this mean for Andrew's online hustler university? I mean, where will men be able to spend $99 a month getting financial advice on how to invest wisely? Where, Moji?
Also, Liz, let's think of the children. Where will Barron Trump get dating advice? Where?
I mean, there's Theo Vaughn, there's Louis C.K. I feel like Barron's going to be fine. I feel excited that his dad has so many mentors that he can turn to. But, you know, for those that don't have those connections or a presidential dad, luckily, there's still Rape Academy, Moji.
Universal. It's not going anywhere, unfortunately.
It's so messy.
All right. Well, you know, the Tate brothers. They are why women will always choose the diarrhea lettuce for sure.
Every time. Yeah, I'm always picking diarrhea lettuce over that. And speaking of human feces, it seems Missouri Senator Josh Hawley doesn't seem to understand what dark money means. Moji, he was in the news a lot this week, and we're going to be talking a lot about the antics of Josh Hawley, but he was really a fire hose in particular with abortion attacks. And he wrote a strongly worded letter to Todd Blanche urging the DOJ to probe, quote, the nefarious dark money and secret dealings of our friends over at Plan C Pills. What?
He's so embarrassing. Oh my gosh. Like, get the fuck out of here. Plan C Pills is a public health resource that gives information on how to access abortion pills. It's not dark money. They have a brightly colored website, plancpills.org, that they're clearly hiding what they do by declaring it on the front page.
Oh my God, Moji, this is the secret, dark, we must investigate this organization statement. That's the first thing you see on the website. Plan C provides information on how people in the U.S. are accessing abortion pills online for safe, at-home abortion.
Wait, what do they mean? Do we need to get the special abortion descrambling machine to break the code?
We must. Clearly, there is a sub-meaning.
I got a ring in a Cracker Jack box to help me understand.
I mean, I think we should got to bring some witches in here. We got to get a Ouija board. There are some things happening. I mean, this scary, dark underground group has an Instagram account. They have a documentary, Moji, made about them that they are in, and they've been guests on our podcast.
Sure have. Listen, dark money. You can, in fact, follow the money, the links to the money, all on the website. Real easy to find.
Their secret agenda is about as covert as the ball gag booth at Leatherfest. But also, it's so rich for Josh Hawley to be all mad about the secret dark money of plancpills.org when the administration that he literally tongue darts, all they do is deal in dark money and nefarious business. What a joke he is.
Every accusation is a confession, let's be honest.
Everyone.
Every single one. We've got some good news in South Dakota, though.
Yeah.
In a win for pro-abortion evangelists, a federal judge ruled our pals at Mayday Health have the right to yap about abortion in South Dakota. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Yep, I guess the First Amendment still has some teeth, as South Dakota tried to add an amendment to their abortion ban that made it a Class 6 felony to dispense, distribute, sell, or advertise anything that could help abort a pregnancy.
So this is a really interesting story, right? So Mayday, they had paid to have placards put up at gas stations that say, quote, you can still get abortion pills in all 50 states. They put them up everywhere, just a messaging campaign. And the state said that those placards violated this law to advertise anything that could help abort a pregnancy.
So Mayday didn't even fight that. They just kind of rolled over and took it. And then Nancy Turbeck-Berry, a Watertown, South Dakota lawyer, she spelled the First Amendment violation. And so she bought a shirt from Mayday with the same phrase, just the exact same one. You can still get abortion pills in all 50 states. And then she got herself a lawyer as well and challenged the state to define where free speech gets to exist.
And this is where it's really great that the state tried to argue that the gas station placards with that message were commercial and that her shirt was just expressing her personal views. And a very smart judge ruled that neither are commercial because she's just a private citizen walking around stating her opinion. And Mayday Health is just a website out in these streets stating their opinion, not selling abortion pills and not trying to make any money off of the placards, which is awesome.
Also, awesome, Nancy, for taking on this case, right? It feels like in this environment, the lower courts have in fact been our saviors. So let's use them, especially against the politician in the state that elected Kristi Noem as governor.
Yeah, they're never going to make good choices, those fucking people.
No.
So if we got judges from like the olden times, like I always wonder and worry, like how old are these judges? I feel like they are not new hire or not new appointees or, but like I love it. And so since now we know that it's just not commercial to broadcast, you can get abortion pills in every state. What I want to see next, I want to see that phrase mapped onto Mount Rushmore. I feel like that would be amazing.
That's not a bad idea at all.
It's also fun.
It's so fun. All right. For now, this is a victory for the First Amendment. But of course, we know these anti-abortion zealots will stop at nothing. So we'll be following this case. And in fact, this fall, we have Leo Reisner, the founder of Mayday Health, on the pod to bring us up to speed. That's your steaming dump of this week's abortion news.
It was a good one. And I kind of am excited to get to the big story that we have been obsessing about all week because A, it involves more dragging of Josh Hawley, and B, we need to know about this person.
Would you commit to trying to get as much information, again, to collect the data on the number and circumstances of abortions as is provided for in the system, to collect that data from these states and to work with those states that are currently holding out and not giving it to actually get the data so that we can get a picture of what really is going on here? Will you do that?
Senator, you have my commitment. Abortion surveillance is absolutely a critical component of what the CDC is currently doing. To your point, it may be moved to another agency within HHS. I also want, I agree, yes, I will look into that. But
Thank
I
you.
also want to also make sure that certain states are not conflating emergency services and hiding abortions in that emergency services case definition. We need to make sure we're pulling out true abortions and making sure that we're really having clear case definitions regarding abortion so the data is actually accurate.
Yikes. That exchange was Senator Josh Hawley and Trump's CDC pick, Dr. Ericka Schwartz. Schwartz had a pretty troubling day of testimony, giving very few answers, but did offer that little doozy when it comes to abortion surveillance. As of this taping, to the surprise of no one, on a party line vote, this disastrous nominee has moved to the floor for a full Senate vote. So let's get into it.
I mean, that exchange is enthusiastically supporting surveillance and them sharing a good, let's take people down who've had abortions. And the view that protecting medical privacy is somehow deviant behavior is really some saying the quiet part out loud shit. And if anyone seems to think it's good, I just want to remind you that in many communities, it takes very few data points to clock an abortion patient. And by the way, no one in emergency rooms is conflating data or trying to do secret abortions or whatever the fuck she was referring to. That line is some dishonest garbage right out of the MAGA playbook.
It is the worst of their playbook. They like to make up a problem, keep stressing it's a problem, then say their policy will solve the problem, and then they create a law that solves a fake problem, but it's really designed to further oppress us. And then that problem you created, which didn't exist, disappears.
That's right. You say your policy stopped it, but really you just stopped talking about it. And then the policy that you actually did enact harms people in ways that we're trying to prevent. It is a fucking mess.
I really found this hearing unsettling for many reasons, of course, but one is usually when the crazy say crazy shit, they have a record of those opinions, right? Like, I'm not at all surprised that Hawley asked a question about abortion. That's his personality. I'm really surprised that she answered it that way, so affirmatively, and actually went even further than what he asked for.
Totally. And I never thought I'd say this, but thank God Josh Hawley asked that question and put her up to saying that out loud, because we have been digging around for hours trying to find stuff on her, and we could not. And I had no idea that she had such an anti-abortion bias, because she's got some pretty legit medical bona fides.
Yeah, I guess hell just froze over because you said, thank God Josh Hawley, and was really shocked.
I know.
And in fact, between her pro-vaccine past history and the anti-abortion opposition to her, it gave me kind of hope that maybe we were watching this nominee who was qualified, who could actually do something great for the country, right? She spent 24 years serving as the Coast Guard's chief medical officer, which is quite a respectable position. And then she was Trump's assistant surgeon general the first term when the adults were in the room, and ran COVID policy when it was an actual medical policy.
And during her hearing, she did reiterate unwavering things like defense of vaccine science. She said that she totally thinks that the mRNA technology used in COVID vaccines and other vaccines is safe and effective. She rejected the link between childhood vaccines and autism.
She said repeatedly that she will, quote, never betray the science and will lean on radical transparency to rebuild public trust in the CDC. But then, womp womp. Her deflections during the hearings just erased all the confidence that I had built in her. Like when she was asked if she supported RFK's $500 million cuts to the mRNA vaccine research, really important research, she claimed she was previously unaware of the decision as a private citizen. Huh? What?
What the fuck, lady? Are you some kind of Luddite? That was all over the news. I mean, even like garbage news. I mean, this stupid podcast talked about it. How can she not know because she's a private citizen?
Listen, also, this is her field. I do not believe her. Also, come on. We've all interviewed for jobs before. You research the job before the interview. Shh.
And if she doesn't know that her boss cut $500 million from vaccine research, does she know anything that he's done? All the crazy shit he's been doing in the name of quack science? I doubt it.
No, she doesn't.
No, and that was the whole thing. It's like she said the crazy abortion thing out loud, and then she just danced around everything. I mean, Bernie asked her, would you come to Congress if you were ordered to implement an unscientific policy? And she actually said, this is a quote, I just don't believe that the president or the secretary would ever do what you just mentioned.
Ma'am, again, being that uninformed should just make her unqualified. Like, is she fully unaware of why the previous director was fired? Like, why there is a job opening for her to interview for? Listen, if you don't know, the former CDC director, Susan Monarez, who she would be replacing, was fired after serving 29 days at the agency, barely one menstrual cycle. And she was fired because she refused to agree to RFK Jr.'s demands to pre-approve vaccine recommendations and fire career scientists without challenging the reasons, because he gave no reasons. And Monarez testified before Congress, quote, even under pressure, I could not replace evidence with ideology. So the person who had this job before you has already testified at Congress that RFK asked him to do what you say he'd never do.
You know, it's been almost a year since there's been someone in this position. And during that year, Look at all the shit he did that if she or whoever was sitting in the CDC would have either had to look the other way or challenge. He made the flu vaccine optional. Measles vaccine got pulled back. He announced abortions were in COVID vaccines.
Let's not forget the super, super extra crazy, like the raw milk chugging, and of course, demonizing contraception in lieu of natural family planning, aka getting pregnant on purpose. And for claiming she would never betray the science and would lean on radical transparency, in the hearing, she refused to commit to removing text added to the CDC website under Kennedy's direction that suggests the link between vaccines and autism remains unresolved.
I don't even understand what that has to do with radical transparency.
Sounds untransparent.
Sounds untransparent. Also sounds like you're betraying the science. And then she weirdly added to that the nation owes it to the families to find out why autism rates are rising. But bitch, that ain't why. That's not science. And then when she was asked, would you defy a direct order from HHS leadership to stop promoting like immunizations, like the flu shot? And then you know what she said? I don't deal in hypotheticals.
These aren't hypotheticals, bitch. Research the job. Your predecessor was canned for refusing to push RFK's agenda over scientific evidence. That's not hypothetical. Why did no Democrat say that to her?
I don't know.
And while we're on questions, we'd like to know, why didn't anyone ask her about her time as Assistant Surgeon General, why she never issued a statement or corrected the record when Trump was all, use bleach, ivermectin, light therapy? Not a single peep from her.
Not a peep. And no one asked about the diarrhea lettuce. There's a parasite in our midst, in our bowels, and no one asked her about it.
And Liz, she's a rear military admiral who is director of health, safety, and work life for the Coast Guard, responsible for the Coast Guard's whole healthcare system. So how does she feel about Heg's testosterone folly? Nobody asked.
And measles? How do you reverse the course of measles? Like, no one asked her how she would respond to a lot of current crazy shit that's happening.
Mm-hmm. And so this just makes her submission a mixed bag, right? It feels like her past belief and her promises to the committee are hollow because her silence on how she would stand up to the radical Maha boss that she would be working for is just, it doesn't give me any confidence. She's left us actually with more questions than answers.
I know. She's just yet another person who I ask the same two questions about. Do they have something on her? Or is she just willing to throw away her credibility for more earned power? Like, I don't know.
I also wonder, like, maybe she's one of those old school people who think she can protect us from these nut jobs by being on the inside, right? Or, and this is the darkest thought for me, are they just setting up a well-qualified Black woman to take the blame for this sinking ship?
So many questions, but honestly, Moji, my Kelsey bets are going to be on her becoming just another unethical turncoat, sadly.
Sadly, I agree. Sadly.
So let's just watch to see how the Senate goes and if she'll get approved. My guess is she will, but what a bummer.
We can lift the energy now.
Oh, I feel like we should.
We have a better Ericka we could spend time with.
You know what? We do have a better Ericka we can spend time with. And let's get to her because I feel like she's going to lift our spirits in some really good ways. All right, let's get to our guest. Let's get to the preferred Ericka, if you will. Our second Ericka first guest is a Black queer femme activist, writer, and award-winning sexual educator. This spring, she released Nasty Work, Resist Systems, Explore Desire, and Liberate Yourself, aka a must-read for everybody. Please welcome Ericka Hart. Hi, Ericka.
Hi, Ericka.
Hi.
We are so excited you are here. And I always love to kick off an interview with a good origin story that brings folks to the work they love. So can you tell us, like, when it was you realized that becoming a sex educator was the best way to frame basically everything you wanted to talk about?
It's such a good question. I would say that I realized that sex education frames everything probably when I was in the Peace Corps. And I was in the Peace Corps from 2008 to 2010. I was actually kicked out. Long story, but I think that's pretty radical.
Is it a good story? Do we want to push that?
I mean, it's kind of a boring story. I can tell you quickly. I started dating somebody in the Peace Corps, very lesbian of me at the time to start dating somebody who looked just like Ellen DeGeneres, and we would eventually get married when we got back. Very gay, very Peace Corps. And we decided to go to a place that is considered off limits because there's certain areas that U.S. government officials cannot go. And as a Peace Corps volunteer, that's what we are. And we went to one of these areas, even though all Peace Corps volunteers go to those areas, they break the rules, they're not caught. 2 lesbians go to the area, we're going to be more visible. So they found out that we went and they verified it by calling the hotel and getting our information from the front desk. And the reason why we went to this area, it's called Amhara. That's where a lot of coffee is actually made in a region of Ethiopia, is because they also feed hyenas, like wild hyenas. And I needed to do that. And they have a big Muslim influence. So I also was like, I want headscarves and I want all these things. And sure enough, they used us as an example and kicked us out.
We're obsessed with the hyena. It's the spotted hyena because of the way the whole, like, it has that like elongated sort of like pseudopenis, and that the vagina explodes when it gives birth. And it also, do you know about hyenas, and that they oftentimes will just mate for life with other female hyenas? So they're matriarchs, they're queer as fuck, and they're great.
That's so cool. I didn't know that. That's not why I broke the rules, but that now will be the story.
Well, Ericka, I want to jump right to your book, right? I just want to jump in because I loved Nasty Work. It's out now. And one of the things I loved about the book is that you take extra steps to point out that everything about sex education is actually also political discussion, right? And that these things are intertwined in every way. And also, Nasty Work, sure, it's a spicy book, but I spent a lot more time thinking about the ways we need to unpack anti-Blackness than I did about like bumping uglies, right? And so I wonder, did you approach writing the book with that in mind, or did you start writing and then you were like, oh, here's where we are?
I regret to not have more bumping uglies in the book. But as I was writing Nasty Work, I wrote it like I teach. So honestly, if you are an educator, you would see how each chapter breaks down to a lesson. And that's typically how I teach my courses. So I wanted to really give the world something that would live forever. And the way that I teach sex education is beyond how we think about sex ed in, I guess, very simplistic ways, is that people typically think you're going to learn about STIs, you're going to learn about gender, body image, right? And I don't even know if people necessarily think that. They think that sex educators are teaching people how to have sex. So the nasty work that I'm constantly revealing or unveiling is that systems of oppression are deeply connected to sex and sexuality, right? A great deal of sex, I think sex just in general, especially in this country, is funneled through anti-Black racism. And there's no way to look away from that. So my intention was to expose that so that we can really interrupt and interrogate our worldview, because we're not actually taught sex education at all. And we certainly are not taught sex education from a standpoint that's anti-racist, that's affirming of queerness, fat bodies, and disabled folks.
In your book, there's so much to unpack, but I wanted you to talk about the 3 things you want folks to walk away from when it comes to reading this book.
I would say, 1, there's no such thing as normal. It's important to, I think, feel normal and to feel like what you're doing and your actions and your body and the way that you relate to yourself is quote unquote normal, but there is no standard, right? And that standard that we oftentimes live up to is rooted in very racist notions created by eugenicists. And number 2, I would say that gender is a social construct, and that also that construct is upheld by anti-Black racism, in particular, the hatred of Black women and a distancing from Black women. And there's no way to uphold a binary without anti-Black racism. And also, as human beings, we're a part of nature, whether we want to believe that or not. And nothing in nature is binary, right? Even the hyenas, right? Us included, we are not binary, and neither is our perceptions of our gender. So trying to fit within a binary is never something that is going to make sense to anyone. I think number 3, what I want people to take away from is that we are all indoctrinated into an idea that cis hetero sexuality is the standard. And with that, there's notions that relationships will last forever and that we are supposed to be in relationships and we're also supposed to have sex in those relationships. And even if you're queer, you adopt those same frameworks. And I think it's important for us to move away from that and create our own notions of relationships, and also understand that just like nature, nothing is forever and things are always evolving and shifting. And it's important for us to hold space that all of our relationships, whether we like it or not, are going to end some way, shape, or form.
I love all 3 of those things, but the third one is the thing that I just want to connect with the most, because every time society buys into basically everything you talked about, but especially relationship norms, if you aren't following them because that's not your path and you're just doing your own thing, your competence is constantly questioned by choosing a different path for your own happiness. And to me, in anti-Blackness, queerness, if you're a woman, all of it, when we buck that, it feels like that is the permeating way to push the patriarchal systems in a real way.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people have been in relationships or are currently in relationships, and trigger warning, have been assaulted in those relationships, and they don't know how to name that, because under compulsory heterosexuality, this idea that we are supposed to have sex, where is our consent and our access to and our bodily autonomy to say no? We are fed the belief that once you're in a relationship, your body belongs to that person. And in particular, marriage, your body belongs to that person. So how many people, in particular, folks that are oftentimes subjugated by the world, women, queer folks, trans people, disabled folks, in relationship with folks, and whether that be a friendship or a romantic relationship, that feel like they can't say no to sexual advances, right? And if you feel like you can't say no to a sexual advance, then that is assault, right? And I don't think that we think about that enough, talk about that enough. In the era of trad wives and the manosphere, there's even more propaganda that our bodies don't belong to ourselves. And it's just great that babies are just, coming one after the other. And, there's no conversation if any of these children were had consensually, right? It's just, oh, they're married and it's fine. I literally see people write things like that.
I'm so glad you said that. You walked me right into my next question. So you dedicate a whole chapter of your book to consent. And honestly, it feels like you're inviting the reader to ask more questions. And that makes a lot of sense right now, because lack of consent, rape culture is glorified and normalized in current media. Just this week, Jesse Waters, the Fox News host, was talking gleefully about potential SA as a result of Hegseth's testosterone policy. And of course, there's the Black mother in Tennessee who is currently imprisoned because she allegedly killed a predator hiding under her child's bed, and the conversation around fast 13-year-olds. So I'd just like to hear what you have to say about, why do you think removing consent from education is a key part of the Christian nationalist / white supremacist sex ed agenda?
Because you have to convince people, especially marginalized folks, that the beliefs about them and the racist notions that exist about them are true, and that their bodies, our bodies, don't belong to ourselves. So if you constantly leave people in the dark about how we are supposed to see ourselves or know that we have bodily autonomy, then you can start to believe that you're fast and that a 21-year-old should have been under your bed, or you blame yourself for the sexual assault that you experienced. I know that me personally, I blame myself for 20 plus years of the assault that I experienced. I thought because I watched porn and I masturbated that I deserved what happened to me. And also because it felt good, maybe it wasn't wrong, right? So if you constantly are fed messaging that your body is inherently hypersexual, right? Which is the racist notion that exists mostly around Black people, in particular Black women and those gendered as such, then you're never going to push up against the violence that you experience, which is why in Nasty Work, I write that consent isn't everything. Oftentimes consent, even consent in sex ed spaces, starts with sex. It doesn't actually talk about how we relate to each other's bodies, how we give each other a handshake, right? Like a handshake is, just we're supposed to put your hand out like this, and that means I'm supposed to shake it, right? With no conversation or negotiation if you want to do that or not. So it works in the benefit of the state to never empower people to understand bodily autonomy so they can continue to remove it from the most marginalized.
The handshake thing is always been really interesting to me because human beings are gross. Right? And you don't know who washes their hands. I don't know if I want to touch your hand. You think it's innocuous. I just think, do you wash your hands after you go to the bath? I don't know. I don't want your Cheeto shit on I don't want it. Right? And the other thing, you really spoke to me when you were 21 years of just really taking on so much of the shame around sexual assault and your own. I feel the same way. A lot of people also don't talk about the fact that if you're in a relationship, sometimes you will have sex with someone so they stop hitting you, And so there's so many nuances that we don't talk about that are non-consensual. And Moji, your examples were really good. And I just want to point that the feel good part of it also, oh, I had an orgasm, so I guess I'm complicit in this. All of that stuff that goes with it is so real. And I think it's one of the most important chapters in the book because breaking down the layers of consent, not just what we think of immediately, but really going into where we didn't consent and where people have such assumptions about our bodies is so crucial. So for that chapter alone, the book is really key.
Thank you so much. And I would say if you said 4 things that are vital to the book, I would say consent is in everything is a big one. Yes.
Yes. Okay. I want to lighten it up because you're so wise. And you're also so fun, and you also love a friggin' dating show. What is even happening? I have to be honest, I am not a dating show person, but I feel like I am through you. Let's talk about what it is about dating shows that draw you in. And is it purely for pleasure, or are you examining dating shows also through the lens of everything that you are talking about in your expertise?
It's so funny. I mean, I'm glad you're not a dating show person. Save yourself. Honestly, save yourself. I will say that I watch them because I want to critique cis heteronormativity. The reason why these shows exist, especially in the plethora that they exist, there's so many, is to really push cis hetero people being in relationship and having babies, right? And that we've seen a decline in those statistics since 2018. And right around 2018, this is where we start seeing more and more and more of these shows getting more popularity. It's no coincidence. So as a sex educator, I find it as my duty to interrupt a lot of the notions that they push on these shows. For example, on Love Island, if somebody is kicked off, they say you are single and now vulnerable.
Yikes.
Right? Because I didn't find somebody to be with me, that means that I'm not worth it to be on Love Island. I'm not deserving of love. So I need to go somewhere else. Right. And also the racial notions of the show, right? Who they cast oftentimes has a great proximity to whiteness. Right. We are just recently seeing folks who are visibly disabled on the show. We still have yet to see a fat person, right? We still have yet to see multiple disabled people. Typically, it's just one, right? We are recently seeing dark-skinned Black women, but still, even the dark-skinned Black women that are on the show, they're thin. Oftentimes, their noses will be thin. Their lips will be thin. They don't wear their hair out, right? They're wearing extensions, which I don't have no problem with extensions. But I'm curious to see if more Black women go on the show, if they feel like they would be seen as desirable with just wearing their hair. I remember Cachet from season 5, don't quote me on that. She wore her hair naturally and she went pretty far. right? And that was damn near revolutionary, right? And I thought that was incredible to witness. And these shows could never be the barometer of pushing up against beauty standards because they just uphold them.
Yeah, they can't. I haven't really watched one since Flavor of Love, and there was its own exploration of beauty standards there. It felt a lot more inclusive.
The other thing too, I used to pay attention to, not watch, but pay attention to, before the dating show craze, there was just this like the Real Housewives and Bridezilla. And like there was this whole, at one point I counted, and I wrote an article about it, and I counted that there was like 17 shows where they were all heteronormative shows. But what they would do is they would pit women against each other. And like when you have something called the Real Housewives, like if you're not that, then are you not real, right? And like a show like Bridezilla, I was like, wait, you're just a Zilla. It's just like people who are horrible who are getting married. So you're casting horrible people and then hyper horribilizing. I don't know if that's a word, hyper horribilizing them. So it was just literally wall to wall. Anytime you saw a cisgendered woman on television, she was pitted against another cisgendered woman, and we were all monsters. And I was like, why is everybody indulging in this monster culture? And now it's evolved into this other weird dating. The whole thing is just designed, again, with foundational trauma.
And capitalism. Love Island, they win a prize. So a lot of times people will say, I want to see love. I want to see love. Is love really possible under capitalism? Right? And this is a microcosm because they're fighting to be seen as in love, right? By everybody else's surveillance of their relationship because the audience votes on it. And then they win the prize or not. Is this really possible? I don't think so.
Well, Ericka, the book is out and it's incredible. And I know you're touring and sort of promoting it. What's next for Ericka Hart?
Oh my Lord. What's next? I'm trying to figure out where is, what's in front of me. That too. But what's next? I mean, a lot of people have been talking to me about reality television for quite some time now. So I would love to potentially write something that's a deep dive into reality television trends and how they perpetuate notions about relationships, love, sex, desire. I think that would be really cool. Your mention of Flavor of Love, like I would love to go back and look at some of the articles that were existing at that time. What were some of the things I was thinking at that time, right? And then versus now with all of these shows too, what is the impact on the psyche? So I think that would be cool. I don't know. I don't know if that's next, but we'll see.
I think that you've just excited everyone to make that happen. Let's will it into existence because I feel like you're the person to do this at the time.
Yeah, I think as a fellow Black femme, I've like the sort of like going through memory lane and revisiting your memories of your book, I thought was extremely wonderful and valuable. And I can't wait to see you attack some contemporary stuff with that. So tell people where they can find you, how they can follow you, how they can know all the great stuff you're up to now, and where they can get the book, and then how they can know when you move on to what's next.
So you can buy Nasty Work anywhere you purchase books. I would prefer if you bought it from a local bookstore. Bookshop.org is a really great resource for that, but also the library is an option. It's available on Libby. If you want to get it from Libby, listen to it as the audiobook. Audiobook does exist. Would love that. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Threads. I'm barely on Facebook anymore, but my handle is iHeartEricka on Instagram and Threads. And then on TikTok, it's iHeartEricka and a 1. iHeartEricka 1. And that's my TikTok. And that's where you can find me. That's where you can find what's next, what's happening, what am I up to?
What's going on Love Island?
Exactly. What's going on with Love Island? I think people have been asking me to talk about Married at First Sight. So I'm going to get into that too. But yeah.
What a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for really just creating this incredible book and incredible resource for folks. Everyone is thirsty for really understanding where we're at and sex education, especially since any avenues towards freedom, emancipation, and liberation are crumbling around us. So it's more important than ever, this book.
Thank you so much. I deeply appreciate that. Thank you all so much for having me as a guest.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. As always, these stories will be in the show notes. And if you're looking for the most up-to-the-minute resources on accessing abortion care and funding for your care, hit up our friends at abortionfinder.org.
You know, we do this show because this kind of information is not given enough attention in the media. So help us spread the word and show us some love by liking, subscribing, giving us a 5-star rating, and also giving us a review. Those reviews really help, and we always forget to say give us a review, so I'm saying it. Every bit you write, every star you hit, every like you like helps boost us
You'll
up.
be helping us. You'll be helping us.
Oh my God, cute. Because that song's stocky. You just made it nice. Let's do it. It's the party game that is faster than Monopoly and more fun than Taboo. It's 6 Degrees of Abortion. You know it, you love it. This is when Moji takes a story from the news, and I have 6 chances to link it to abortion. I wondered if it was going to be Jimothy, but it was not. So let's see if she can stump me this week.
Jimothy was on the tip of my tongue, actually. But no, it is not. Actually, this is kind of good news, I think. A judge recently approved a $1.5 billion settlement with Anthropic over pirated books that were used to train the Claude chatbot. This is one of the first sort of this stealing lawsuits, and it was a win. And so I know you have some thoughts on this, and I would like you to link AI chatbots to abortion.
You know, it's so funny because I don't use AI chatbots I feel like lucky enough to have a brain arsenal enough to not have to use AI.
An intelligence chatbot.
For abortion. I also feel like that's crazy. So to tie an AI chatbot to abortion, I don't know that I have a really interesting way to do it other than I have my direct line to my own book being co-opted by AI to use for other things. So I'm just going to go and tie myself to abortion.
I love it. Do you know which large language model scraped your info, or is it,
I think it was ChatGPT, if I am not mistaken, because it was early on.
Mm-hmm.
It was early on. And so I don't think it was Claude or I don't think it was Gemini.
And that was your book, Liz Free or Die.
Liz Free or Die, available in paperback. Also available for $1 on Amazon. I'm in the dollar pile now. I'm in the bargain bin. Feel free. I also read it myself. So if you feel like you just don't get enough of my lilting tones on the podcast every week, you can listen to me barf out my book.
I say you did it. I thought this was great. I feel like we all are sort of anti-AI, and hearing some win from these like multi-billion-dollar organizations just feels right. I don't know. I also know that like $1.5 billion is just a drop in the bucket for these people.
I know. It's also, I get so confused about who is what in the scheme of things. Anthropic, is that Altman? Is that Sam Altman?
Sure.
You know, like which one is who? I don't know. But like, you know what? Good. Fuck AI, and yay for whomever is going to benefit from that. I don't think I'll get money from that one, but like hopefully I'll get money from one.
It's a bunch of authors that are going to win, and I think people are getting around $3,000 per author. So,
oh, well, maybe Anthropic's great mind, and I don't even know. Who knows?
Let's hope.
I don't know if I was part of the settlement, but if I do, I'll donate it to our Patreon, which, by the way, patreon.com/feministbuzzkill. Oh my God, I will donate it because we need it.
We do need it.
And why do we need it, Moji? Tell them. To help us do what?
We need it so that we can just continue to dive through the bowels of the internet, doing misogynistic colonoscopies, you know, just to find the worst takes from the manosphere, because they're out there. And this week we have a great one. It's a relationship expert, I'm putting that in quotes, named Casey Zander. Let's have a listen.
Here's why you should never go down on a woman inside of the bedroom. If you're going down on her, you're essentially saying, I care about your pleasure. And what do we know about women who date men who care about their pleasure? They will pull back from them and they will leave them. The second that you care about her pleasure and the second that you're actually trying to please her, you are now actually in the feminine or the submissive state. You are now in the one who's actually the pleaser role, who is adoring her. She's naturally going to lose respect for you. And what you're going to notice is even if she has a mind-blowing, what would you call that word that that we're probably not going to say. Even if she feels that way during it, she will lose respect for you once that act of intimacy is over.
Okay, Casey. Because, yeah, that is what women are in knitting circles all over the universe saying, you know what? The number one reason I leave a man is when he wants to go down on me. I am fucking outie.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
out.
And especially if that man is good at it. No woman likes that. Nope.
Leave him on red and get the fuck out the door. It is the men who go down on women who are wholly responsible for the male loneliness epidemic, obviously.
Obviously. Oh my God, Liz. Can you imagine making this video, right? Like, just imagine, like, it was so important to him. He didn't want to set up his microphone. He's just holding it. No time to waste. Got to get this urgent message out to men everywhere.
I have a feeling that video looks a lot like his foreplay. He's just like grabbing that mic kind of weirdly and flailing it around and had to get it out right away. Let me just stick it in. I'm just going to stick it in. I got to get it out. It's a mess.
Maybe men shouldn't be listening to men who can't even say the word orgasm. Don't do that. Don't listen to those guys.
Maybe we don't listen to anyone who can't say the word orgasm because it didn't come to him. He didn't know what it was because he's never actually participated in making sure someone had one. Let's be honest.
Never, not once.
No, I mean, dude. So the alternative is women stay with dudes who don't go down on them and then just creepily assert their dominance. That's what keeps us there.
I don't know what you would call that. Actually, I do know what you would call that. And what you would not call it is a relationship. That is, in fact, a hostage situation. That's not.
100p it is. And also, really, just truthfully, dude, Casey, my brother, there's a word for men who hate going down on women. It's called gay. Maybe you'd like that. I think you'd like that. The way you're holding that mic, I feel like
it's right there. It's just right there. You're really comfortable with it, Casey.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Look, you know what? And you can just get your pleasure on however you need to. But if that ain't your thing, that seems to be.
Just live your truth, my guy.
Yeah, dude, my guy. Bye-bye. I just have to say too, like, credit. I saw Gwen Levy did that on Instagram, that guy, and I was like, where's that guy? I gotta find that guy. So shout out to Gwen for initially showing us that guy, because wow. And that's not the first time I've seen that hot take that literally men are saying men who like to pleasure women are gonna get left. That is a wild take.
No sense.
No sense. Make women happy and they'll leave you. What? What does that mean?
No sense. I don't like it, Liz. I'm
sure he's got a video that's like, if you want a woman to stay in your bed, tie her there.
That's what you have to do if you're not going to go down on her.
I mean, yeah, because she's leaving.
It's getting out of there as quickly as possible.
Oh my God. Do we need to move on? I feel like we should move on.
Let's go. All right. Let's go to our next guest. I'm actually really excited to talk to her. Joining us is HEB MURPHY, a comedian, musician, writer, actor, and creator who you can find singing or streaming her songwriting process on the internets. Casey, this one's for you.
When you're with someone and they made you come, you need to return the favor. I promise women know how it feels to hook up with someone and not have that much fun, because we value penises, but we need to value the clitoris too. Actually, maybe even more, but I'm not quite sure if I want to say that, because I don't know if I want to piss off some men today. Actually, who gives a fuck? Let's piss off some fucking men today. We should value the clitoris more.
Do we really have to prioritize the penis at all? I feel like you were throwing a bone, so to speak, in that clip, just to get
Literally
to
a
the real
bone.
facts.
Yeah, I was trying to be a little bit nice and not say like, just fuck the penis, but don't fuck it. But like,
You don't have to be nice about that on this podcast.
Yeah, I think I was trying to be nice. It's like, okay, how do I not step on too many toes?
Yeah,
But also, I'm trying to say what I'm trying to say.
exactly. We're trying to make misandry great again.
We are working on
Yes.
it. Two women just working hard at it. HEB, thank you for joining us again.
Yes. By the way, thank you for joining us, Heb. Yes. Commentary before the hellos.
Actually, just we're going to stick with the commentary because you're running commentary and questions asking ourselves turned into song is kind of genius, actually. Like, we really love, aside from the clitoris, obviously, why do clowns have afros seems racist to me as a fantastic premise. And then when you sing it, it's just like a whole other level. So let's just unpack that idea because I'd never thought of it that way, but right on.
I mean, okay, yeah, if you look into the history of it, like it actually is racist, but like on the most surface level, the day that I thought of it, I was like, they're trying to come up with the silliest motherfucker around. And they're like, what hairstyle should we give them to make them look so extra silly? A curly fro, because that's just so ridiculous.
Funny, so silly.
It's so funny, so silly, so ridiculous, so outlandish. It's just insane. So the people who are like, well, if you look at clowns and think they look like black people, that's like on you. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not even, that comment isn't even worth a response.
No.
Because that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
But also we know about minstrelry. And so come on, people.
Right.
Come on, people. Let's not be obtuse for funsies.
Yeah.
Also, can I just say, why do people put their children in the presence of someone they can't identify in a lineup? I ask you.
That is a good point.
I have never enjoyed a clown. The racism was like, oh my God, when you were saying it, I was like, oh yeah. But also, it's creepy that you cannot tell who is behind that minstrel show. And you're saying, take my kid for the party while I go have a afternoon of drinking with my friends. Like, no, this is a terrible, terrible sociological experiment.
That is so interesting. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah.
Look at us exchanging clown insights. I feel really good about that.
Yeah, now I really don't trust them. If I ever had kids, I wouldn't trust them. I mean, probably not, but if I did, I wouldn't trust them.
You know, the fun thing is you don't have to have kids to not trust clowns.
That's true.
It's an equal opportunity, non-trustable space. Open to everyone, all genders, all ages.
Yes. It doesn't discriminate.
We're so inclusive in our clown hate. I feel this is a whole step forward for this podcast.
Yes.
Thanks, Heb. We'll see you later. Where can people
All
see
right. All right.
Okay, so here's the deal. For folks who don't know you, you're part of a great crew of comics who use music in their act. I love Sarah Hester Ross, Carissa Sparkles, Dave Hill, just to name a few.
My friends.
All people we love.
All people we love, and also all people who use music to bring it to the edge and never veer into corny. Key when being musical with comedy, right? So talk to us a little bit about what you're thinking about when you're writing that keeps your songs funny and provocative, that steers clear away from the corny shit.
I feel like a really big reason why they're not usually corny is because like the beats are good. Some of them are a cappella, some of them are just me and my voice, but other times, a lot of the times I have like a beat behind me, and my brother is an incredible producer who like has a Grammy, has produced for her and Jack Harlow and all this stuff.
Now.
So I'm like, he's the one who's sending me like his old beats that he doesn't know what to do with anymore. And then I put out a call on Instagram and I was like, if there are any other producers who want to send me stuff. And I didn't expect the quality to be so high when like I asked just random people to send me stuff. So I'm like, kind of at its like base level, I want you to want to shake ass to whatever the song is about. Like I want it to sound good, you know, no matter what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, and having her beat rejects is a fantastic baseline to start with.
Also having beat rejects is
Right.
like amazing. It's like I just go to my brother's hand-me-downs and like shit he didn't wear anymore, I'm just taking.
It's literally his hand-me-downs, yes.
How did the singing of your petty grievances kind of become your thing though, right? Because there's a lot of songs out there. You are just churning them out.
I started writing songs like songs, you know, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, all that bridge in high school when I was 15. And I was doing that for a couple years and I thought for sure I wanted to be a musician, but I just got so much anxiety around it. Like I couldn't figure out what was going on, but I couldn't write songs anymore. It felt like I had to be too deep or I was just overthinking. And then the first day of lockdown, I was like, what if I just made a song about corn instead of my deep love or heartbreak or something that like I didn't really know how to put those emotions into a song, but I knew how to sing a song about my dog.
Yeah.
and not overthink it. And it can be exactly what I want it to be. It can be 20 seconds long. It can be 5 seconds long. It can be a minute, whatever. It doesn't have to look like anything. So it's like, as soon as I started writing these types of songs, the rules, quote, rules of regular songwriting were kind of out the window. I didn't need to think about a second verse and a bridge and all that. I could just be like, why do clowns have afros? Feels racist to me. The fucking end. The end.
And you do it brilliantly all the time.
Thank you.
I was doing a rabbit hole. First of all, I just want to say before I do the rabbit hole, in my rabbit hole, that there's footage of you singing the national anthem when you were 13.
Oh, yeah.
You nailed it. Like, I hope that's your go back to confidence thing, because holy shit, that was awesome.
Thank you. Sometimes I'm like, did I peak when I was 13?
It was so good. But like, what I love, I think, is in all of this, I feel like your whole vibe is like part comic, part advice columnist, part life coach. You know, you kind of like lay some shit out, but always with a beat. So is this format the next wave of therapy? I'm just
Right.
thinking it might be.
It feels like I'm processing shit in real time. Like that's what I'm doing. I have a thought. Maybe it's something I talk about in therapy, or it's something that comes up with my friends. And so I got distracted because I almost said my boyfriend, but I'm actually single now. But when I was talking to him, you know, something comes up and I'm feeling passionate about it. And I'm like, oh, I want to shout this from the rooftops because, yeah, why haven't we thought about this? Or, you know, my opinion on this, I feel like more people need to hear it. So let me shout it from the rooftops and come up with a little jingle for it.
As I was looking at all your videos and loving them, I feel like every song, whether it's like you don't have to stay on the date or just whatever you're doing, right?
Right.
It's like a button that my therapist has said to me. So last thoughts, you know, you don't have to stay on the, it's like you're just singing the last thoughts of every session of therapy for me, which I think
Oh, I love that.
it's what I love the most about it.
Yeah, it's like summing up the session, the therapy session a little bit, you know.
Yes.
I want to go into more of the therapy session because another part of your, as you tell, we spend a lot of time on your Instagram. And one of the things that we could not stop laughing at is the list of things you did before you knew you were queer. Like, this is hilarious. Like, oh, all of your ex-boyfriends are gay. Who among us?
Yeah, they're buying the orange Subaru. And I was like, wait, I bought a blue Subaru. I bought the periwinkle one. Okay.
Yeah, having crushes on queer guys my whole life and always saying girls are beautiful, but I would never kiss one. Or like girls are hot, really, but I would never kiss one. That shit was all cap.
You would absolutely kiss one.
Yes, and I have, and I loved it.
Well, what is the mystery of life that you are ready to just unlock?
The mystery of life.
Mystery. Yeah, no, we just do light surface level questions here. We like to keep it real light, so go for it.
The mystery of life, it feels like something around pain. And I mean, because it's fresh in my mind, I had just mentioned I'm going through a breakup currently. And like I knew going into it, it was maybe going to end in pain. And so I was really scared the whole time, but also kept doing it because I had some hope. And then going through the pain, I start to feel like, wow, I feel so alive.
Through the pain?
Yeah, in the pain. It hurts so bad, but it's like, this is the human experience. And then I can kind of compare it to other pain. Like I was married before when I got married when I was 21 and divorced when I was 25. And that was a different level of pain because I had legally committed myself to this person. But so then going through this current breakup, I'm like, okay, so this hurts, but it's like, instead of it being like a periwinkle, it's more of like a forest green type of pain. Like it's just like a different shade.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting. And I don't know, I guess I would like to unlock the entire range of human emotion.
I like also that you ascribe colors to it. Like I feel like I don't know if I fully understand the difference between a periwinkle pain or a forest green pain, but now I really want to know what a violet pain feels like, you know,
right,
in the spectrum of the colors of pain that you're going through.
Yeah, it's like same thing, different font.
Yeah. And you know, I also think too, I think it's important to just name that, not to sound woo-woo, but every time you experience something and feel it, because I'm with you on that, I feel alive in it, you know you can survive it. So when you anesthetize your pain when you're going through something hard, you don't connect with the fact that you have the strength to move through sometimes. So I love that you're like, yeah, I feel this. I'm in it. It's different. And on the other side of it, I'm just living here and surviving. And that brings me to my next question, which is not a segue at all to what I'm about to ask you, because I want to move on to your love of the great outdoors. I'm in Minnesota right now. I have a love of the great outdoors, but you have that, grew up in Seattle, Pacific Northwest, cardiovascularly intimidating love of the great outdoors. So I see. I feel like a lot of your life deals with portaging something. So I feel like I want to talk about that because let's be honest, not a lot of comics have had a brand deal with REI. Let's be clear. So I gotta believe that your relationship to staying active and love of nature is something that gives you life that you need to impart the wisdom of what it gives you to our listeners.
Yes. I mean, it's just everything. Being out with the trees, being in the ocean, connecting with nature off my phone. That's when I feel the most at peace. I think partially because I just don't have the responsibilities of, you got to pay rent in a couple days knocking at my door, or like I'm just not thinking about that. I'm not checking my email. But I remember being on mushrooms and swimming in the ocean with my friend at sunset in Malibu. A seal popped its head up 10 feet away from us and just like popped its little head up and just looked at us and like blinked its cute little eyes. And then a wave crested right next to us and you could see the seal like dancing in the wave. You could see the silhouette of the seal. Like just in those moments, I'm like, this is happening regardless if I'm around to see it happen or not. Like this incredible peace and perfection is always there, even when I'm like in my tiny box apartment miles away from it. It just feels like the source of everything. And then especially sitting around a campfire with my friends, it is everything. I'm just absorbing their energy. You're just connecting. I don't like to play music because I like to hear the animals and the nature and the wind and everything. Like it just feels like the source of everything. Look, I'm getting all excited. I'm like foaming at the mouth. I can't even breathe.
I'm loving watching this.
I can for sure say to anybody listening, sit around with people you love around a fire because you will deepen the connection and the relationship profoundly.
Yes.
You just do. I don't know what it is, but I'm so into it.
I saw this TikTok the other day that was saying when you're staring at a fire, the flames are random and it does something to your brain. Like it can't predict what's going to happen next. So it has to go into this state of just acceptance of whatever is going to happen. And that's why our conversations are so open around a fire. Again, did not fact check this, but it sounded cool and it sounded right. And it got me thinking.
It feels like we should talk about abortion around a fire because it would give people an opportunity to tap into their own thoughts about abortion rather than what society does. And we always have to ask folks like, we love you. You're hilarious. We know why we wanted you on the podcast. Why are you fucking with this cool abortion podcast going on here? And why'd you say, yeah, I think I'm going to jump on this train?
Anything not centered around men, I guess, cis, straight men, I'm just kind of all for. And I was actually raised super Christian. I was super pro-life for a long time. I used to say things out loud to my friends that, I love you, but gay people shouldn't get married.
To your gay friends?
To my gay friends, I said that in high school. That's how deep in, it's pretty embarrassing to say that out loud. And I would say, I don't agree with abortion under any circumstances. Any. I mean, I was just an ignorant kid.
So how'd you break free? How'd you get the information to break free?
I was questioning.
The orange Subaru?
That was the first step. I was like, hey, maybe being gay doesn't sound that bad. I was questioning it for a long time, but then I think when I was 22 or something, honestly, I read a book called Outgrowing God. I can't remember who it's by. And then I saw the debate between Bill Nye and Ken Ham.
Oh, we love Ken Ham.
Yeah. And my parents loved Ken Ham growing up. So I knew all about him. And I watched that debate and Bill Nye just wiped the floor with him. And I was like, holy shit. I think everything I've believed is not true, at least not to me. And I just kind of started breaking free from that. I was like, wait, everyone can do what they want with their own bodies and they can love who they love. Like I had already started slowly getting there, but I think that was like what broke the floodgates open.
I have a Ken Ham story. So for those listeners who don't know who Ken Ham is, I was exposed to Ken Ham because I'm a big lover of like investigating all things that are like extremist weird Christian shit. And I've been to the Creation Museum 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's a big video from Ken Ham. And Ken Ham is the person who says that the earth is 6,000 years old, amongst other things. He says there's jackalopes. He's friends with Kirk Cameron. He's like part of that whole jam. And so the Creation Museum person was talking about Ken Ham and how the earth is 6,000 years old. And I said, I just have a question. Fire is 10,000 years old. So how do we have fire before earth? And then he just said, we're moving on. That's what he said. We're moving on.
No.
Yes.
Oh, so it sounds like Ken gets his ass handed to him a lot.
I don't think so. I mean, I think that was Ken Ham did Bill Nye once and probably was like, I ain't going to debate these people anymore.
Yeah, he was like, I can't do it. Like Bill Nye was pulling out the carbon dating and stuff. He was like, we can tell by the carbon and the bubbles deep in the ice when we drill into these icebergs, you know, the amount of carbon that's in there shows that it's like X amount of years old. And Ken Ham was just like, well, no. And that was kind of it. And like for me, getting out of the church was one of the best things to ever happen to me in my entire life. Like I love being queer without having any gripes with it. Like I'm not worried in any way.
Have your parents come around?
Yeah, my parents are all right. They have grown a lot since I was a kid. And yeah, I came out to them a couple years ago and I basically was just like, you either rock with me still or I'm not coming around. Like there's no option where you don't support me and like I'm still your daughter. Like that's just not an option. And they both were like, cool. And that was kind of it.
Nice.
I really wanted to get into lesbian oil wrestling, but we don't have time. So you're going to have to come back and talk about it because I'm now obsessed. Thank you very much. But before we go, can you tell us what you are working on now and where people can find you?
Yes, you can find me at HEB on the web, everywhere, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And I have a podcast called HEB Hangs where I just yap about my life and my week for an hour. And I'm also working on a web series called The Co-Workaholics. And we're raising money for that next month. That'll be a really fun, there's just short little 2 to 4 minute long episodes with music and comedy and improv. And it'll be a lot of fun because no one wanted to buy my TV show that I wrote. So I'm pivoting and making my own shit.
That's what you got to do. I've been there. Do it.
Yeah. So fingers crossed. I don't even know what I'm fingers crossing about. Who knows what'll happen with that, but that's just the next project.
Well, you bring joy so hard. We love you so much. We love your social presence. Hopefully you'll come through Minneapolis or New York so we can see you live. But thank you so much for being this positive force and also truth teller and therapist all in one for all of us.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
That was so much fun. Thank you, HEB Murphy, for joining us. You'll find all her links in our show notes.
That's our show. Thank you for listening. And again, thanks to the good Ericka of the show, Ericka Hart, for joining us. And please get her book, Nasty Work.
It is so good. Listen, did we make you smarter? Did we make you laugh today? Well, then just show us some love by liking, subscribing, giving us a 5-star rating. And if you want to go the extra mile, if you want to just give a little bit more, join the Patreon. You'll support great content. You'll get cool FBK merch. And of course, fun experiences. And every single one of those pledges support this pod and all of the work we do at Abortion Access Front. You can pledge at patreon.com/feministbuzzkills.
Plus, Abortion Access Front brings you the news and info every day so you can stay connected with us on social at Abortion Front across all platforms. With your help, we can get more people to learn about this assault on abortion access.
And yet another reminder, just head on over to miffystories.com. You can read the beautiful stories that have already been submitted and you can add yours. And if you don't have a story of your own, share it with someone who may want to participate. Every single story counts.
Our voice is our power and our truth can help set everyone free. So again, that's miffystories.com.
And if you want even more ways to get involved, why don't you just sign up to volunteer? We really need you. You can go to our website, aafront.org, fill out the volunteer form, and we can just figure it out together.
Indeed. And join us next week with a great lineup of guests. Ericka Christensen, co-founder of Patient Forward, will tell us what we need to know about getting abortion care later in pregnancy.
And comedian and podcaster Carmen Morales is stopping by to talk about her podcast, Gravy Baby, and the definition of positive toxicity.
The Feminist Buzzkills podcast is edited and produced by Remy DeTournay and Jin Moon for Abortion Access Front. That's our show. Until next week, be well, be kind, don't get lettuce diarrhea, and if you do, spray it on Josh Hawley.
Bye, everyone.
Feminist Buzzkills, the podcast from Abortion Access Front. New episodes drop Friday. When BS is poppin', we pop off. And if you want to support our podcast and all the work of Abortion Access Front, like, subscribe, and join our Patreon at patreon.com/feministbuzzkills.